What's up, guys? It's Busty, and here coming at you with part 2 of our new mini-series looking at Wave 3 of Warhammer Conquest living card game, the Deathworld cycle. Not exactly going in chronological order, unfortunately, but we are gonna go into cracking Slash and Burn today. So this is actually the third Warpack that came out in Wave 3. And we are still looking at some amazing cards in here. If you guys haven't checked out my first part, when we looked at Jungles of Noctavus, then if you feel like doing it, you may as well go ahead. Important stuff here is that obviously there isn't really much content about these war packs on the internet, and even if they are cracked open, you won't really get a detailed analysis of the cards. So something that we do here, I've just cracked it by the way, is go through the cards, kind of have a discussion around them, maybe where they could fit, or just generally whether they are good or bad. In my opinion, you may have different opinions. This is why the world is so bloody subjective. But I've cracked this open now. So let's move on to this mode here and look at what we got. So we are currently missing out on, trying to think what's the name of the second Warpack is called Unforgiven. That will be coming at some point in the future. We are skipping that for now, and we're looking at Slash and Burn. The story continues, and this time we're actually going to get a warlord as well. This is always the same for this particular one. We still have Deepstrike. We've learned last time that a card is in reserve if it's upside down, waiting to be deep struck. So this is what we know, and we got this beautiful cover as well. I like to keep these just because they're cool. But what is really important to us right now is, of course, looking at this well, I can't really call it expansion, it's a Warpack. Alrighty, so yes, we are going to get our last officially printed warlord for Astra Militarum in this pack. And hopefully I'll get to crack open Unforgiven soon as well with you guys. I don't really want this mini-series to drag along for longer than it needs to, but truth be told, difficult to get hold of some of these cards, some of these packs even. Okay, so let's start with the bottommost card, which is the warlord we get in this particular war pack. Grigory Maxim, not with the blooded side, there you go. It's a 1/7 warlord soldier Vostroya, and while a unit you control is being dealt damage, support cards in your hand may be used as shield cards with one shield icon. If the shielder card is a tank, that support card has 2 shield icons instead. Okie, so hopefully we're gonna have some support cards here that will work with that theme, and on the bloodied side he's a 1/6, and that is it. So let's look at his signature units. We got 4 here for Maxim's squadron. These are tank units, but they are not support. So these are army units. We get a 4 of, which is usually typical for most of the warlords. This unit is a 3 cost army unit with one hammer icon, 2/3, and it has interrupt when you use a shield card to prevent this unit from taking damage. That card gains 1 shield icon. So that immediately works really well with Grigory Maxim. Basically, with Grigory, we can make sure that, well, we don't necessarily have to run any events or attachments, and obviously still be able to defend our cards. So I'm kind of expecting here Oh no, he still has an attachment. Interestingly, okay. Well, let's go in order anyway. So for Maxim Squadron, we also get one unit or one support even called Clearing the Path. It's a 2-cost support reaction. After you win a battle at a planet with your warlord, put an Astra Militarum support card from your discard pile into play at your HQ. Fantastic. I mean, obviously this guy just wants to play all the supports, and you know what? Astra Militarum has a bunch of really, really good supports that you can rely on from previous prints, of course. And you are just able to use them as shield, and then Clearing the Path is going to bring them back, and you're able to play them. Actually put in play so you don't have to pay their cost, and that's fantastic. Oh, if the shielded card is a tank. Okay, so if we're shielding tanks, so basically with this guy out, Maxim Squadron, if you use a support as a shield, will get 3 shields out of any support card. That is fantastic. I'm loving this. This is definitely a solid warlord there for Astra Militarum. Yeah, I'm really liking this. This really opens up some interesting deck building prospects as well, I'd say. We get 2 keep firing, 1 cost event, tactics, combat action, ready a target tank unit you control. So this is the tank slash support deck that you're gonna be building with this guy. And then we get 1 attachment, the usual 3 shield icon attachment that every warlord has. Attached to a vehicle unit because it's a hard point. Attached unit gains 1 command icon. So far, really good. And action: exhaust your warlord to move attached unit to another planet. Fantastic. I mean, that's a really solid attachment. Buffs obviously or tanks. It's obviously the main point is that you can put these onto tanks and be able to move them around as an action. That is fantastic. Now I'm not sure if there are any particular cards that function really well with this deck to allow us to ready Grigori Maxim. There might be. I obviously didn't look that much ahead. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any card like that. But even as is, I think this is really strong warlord with its signature units. I mean, Astra Militarum has a bunch of tanks. That's what they do. Almost, I think, almost all, if not all, their um, elite units are tanks. And I think there is some really cool interactions you can also have with the tanks. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out on that. But whilst we're on this one, okay, so we got the Mordian Hellhound, not an elite unit, but it is a tank with area effect 1. Area effect is always really good stuff. Then of course we have the really big commanding Lehman Russ Battle Tank. And of course we have the Conqueror, also Lehman Russ design. This is now an elite, a 3/7, and after this unit resolves an attack, it gets +3 attack until the end of the phase. So if we can find a way to ready this unit, then we're laughing. We're absolutely laughing. You can also run the. Let me just go through who's also extremely good. Is Seraphim. She's amazing with supports. It just readies one of your support cards, and that's obviously really good, especially for something like this where you can just have a bunch of different support cards. Some of them you may be looking at tapping, some of them may not, but getting the really cheap tanks there, the 3-cost tanks, is amazing. They just need a little bit of extra support cards, a little bit of other units, and you're flying. Okay, so this is our first warlord out of the Deathworld cycle we've looked at. And now let's move on. Following the circle, of course, we have our Space Marines. Another area effect 1, and this is another Salamander unit, Salamander Flamer Squad. It's a 4 cost 2/5. 2 hammer icons, 2 command icons there, area effect 1, which is always really good in my opinion. And with the reaction, after this unit readies, deal 1 damage to each enemy unit damaged by this unit this phase. Wow, oh dear me. So again, if you can ready this guy, assuming you go in with your area effect 1, either you go ahead and start your next combat round, or just find a way to ready this unit. This is gonna be a massive damage output unit there, because basically you get after the first area effect, with every untap, you're basically gonna get a pseudo area effect and then still be able to swing with an area effect 1. And that's pretty good. Particularly if you go all in on like area effect builds, which I think are very strong generally. You're just being able to cover a whole bunch of area with those units, and obviously that's what a flamer is supposed to do. So salamanders, really cool. I don't know how much more support we're gonna get for salamanders. I know that up until this point there isn't a huge amount there. Just trying to think here really quickly what other salamanders we got, because obviously we got a bunch of ultramarines, black templars, of course we do have the space wolves. Nope. There certainly isn't much. Okay, we got the Fire Drake Terminators. There's also salamanders there. An elite unit as well, a cheap elite unit. Very good with commands again. And with another reaction, after this unit is declared as a defender, deal 1 damage to the attacker. You can really beef this guy up. And look, they can both go into Astra Militarum or Tau decks as well. So that's strong. I like that. Do we have anything else? Nothing else I can see right now. So a little bit of extra salamander stuff there. Maybe we'll see a little bit more support as we go through the remainder of these war packs too. But I like this unit a lot. So far I am very impressed with the Wave 3 cards we see here. Okay, addition to Dark Angels. Again, not necessarily something that we've seen a lot of support until now. And it's a 2-cost army unit, TAC Marine Aspirant. 1/3 with 1 command icon. Each elite unit you control that is playing against action, pay 1 to ready this unit, limit once per round. That's amazing. Now, only if these guys were elites. That would be amazing. We've seen this in the jungles of Noctavus, that often these cards come out having a bunch of synergy. This isn't it, but still to be able to ready your elites with TAC Marine Aspirant, wow, and it's only a 2 cost. That's sweet. That's sweet. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. All of these cards I can see uses for, and I think that's what, Wave 3 maybe was a bit too late for the game, but if it would have survived, this definitely would have changed the scenario, the Wave 3 cards. And then we get a Deathstorm drop pod. Okay, a 1-cost support, always good if it's a 1-cost support. Reaction after you Deepstrike a card, deal 1 damage to an enemy army unit at the same planet as that card. Okay, so it's just, again, fantastic being able to reap the benefits of Deepstriking. We may have missed a couple of Deepstrike Space Marines in the second expansion, but hopefully we're gonna be able to hopefully we're gonna be able to be forgiven for not cracking Unforgiven as part 2. Move on to Orcs. We get, of course, as usual, the playset here, a 6-cost elite, creature elite, Squigoth Brute, a 5/9 unit with no command icons. It cannot have any attachments, but it has Brutal. So immediately I'm thinking Barzul. I would definitely consider this in a Barzul deck because of Brutal. Can go into any decks. Yes, the lack of hammers is a bit bad, but not the worst. And again, a reaction. So all we're seeing so far is a bunch of action, bunch of reaction cards. There aren't many. There aren't many combat actions. There aren't many deploy actions that we particularly see here, which is speeding up the game. You can immediately reap reward of these cards. Just really good. So reaction after the combat phase begins. Each enemy army unit at this planet loses all keywords until the end of the phase. Wow. So no more deep strike, no more area effect, no more range, no more flying, no more mobile, none of that stuff. That is really strong. That's actually really strong. And now obviously imagine that they're gonna try to get rid of this guy, but he has 9 health and he has brutal, so the more it's damaged, the more damage it will deal. And all of a sudden, if you can't rely on many of your strategies, you know, moving about with mobile, for example, taking less damage with flying, all that's out the window as long as this guy is in that planet. That's huge. That's really, really huge. Yeah, it's a bit costly to get out for sure. But wow, what it does is worth the money. Moving on. We also get some orc events. There aren't many of those, I can tell you that. And okay, it's a 2-cost event, 1 shield icon. It is a combat action. There you go. Move up to 2 damage from a target orc unit you control to a target non-elite army unit at the same time. Wow. Wow. Oh my god, that is good. So it heals, and also it deals damage, and it's direct damage. That's really good. It's not even like you're not even dealing direct damage. You're moving to damage, so it's not even dealing it. It's just moving it across. Particularly for orcs, where there's a lot of self-damaging, and the fact that again this can go to any deck. I mean, this again, I'm just thinking Barzo here, you know, because he's a really strong chaos warlord, thrives on damaging your own units, but not just that necessarily. Of course, you could look at a number of different uses. Dark Eldar. Well, no, even Chaos, sorry. Chaos, well, yeah, Chaos obviously is going to take a bunch of benefit of this, but even I can see Astra Militarum running this, you know, for the Orc units, getting damage off them, be able to maybe pivot a little bit more on those stronger Orc units sometimes can be game-changing. Alright, moving on to, what is it, Chaos, yeah? Just another fantastic art, look at that. Disciple of Excess. It is a 2-cost army unit with 1/3 and 1 hammer, 1 command icon. Each elite unit you control at this planet gaze cannot be routed or exhausted by card effect. Wow. Again, just more protection for our elite units, and you know they can, of course, because the gains, obviously, yeah, he needs to be there, but that's really good still. Just extra protection to all those demons that you're gonna play out. Very strong. And we get 3 copies of Blood Rain Tempest. A 1-cost support, an upgrade. Reaction. After the combat phase begins, sacrifice the support to reverse the order in which planets are checked for battles. Start with the last planet and finish with the first planet. So, can this really matter? Yeah, I think it can. Particularly because it can come as somewhat of a surprise if your opponent is, for any reason, going for the first planet, and then you turn it around. They might not be able to deploy enough to go to the last planet, or maybe you're like, well, I'm gonna change it around, but then I have a bunch of ambush cards and go to the last planet, or go to the first planet. I don't know. It's just it can open up some really interesting situations for sure. All right, let's go to Dark Eldar. We get a 7-cost elite creature here, Corrupted Clawed Fiend. We get 3 command icons, not bad. 6/7, no attachments. And the reaction: after a unit with printing cost 2 or lower deals damage to this unit by an attack, route that unit. So interesting how this this is there. 7 cost elite, definitely something that Dark Eldar needed. Routing sort of little cards, almost weenies, yeah, that's pretty good. I still don't know whether we can route warlords with this. I also don't know if we can route tokens with this, so I'm not going to make any assumptions on that. If this does, then it's just an abomination. It's such a good card. And if it doesn't, it's still good against a lot of the cheap stuff that players will try to use to gain command, gain card and resource advantage. And we have a 1 cost attachment with 1 shield, the Electrocorrosive Whip. And it can be attached to one of your army units. Each non-elite army unit dealt damage by attached unit's attack cannot ready this phase. Okay, so that's good. That's really good. But against non-elite stuff, of course. Can really see how much they are pushing elite units into the game. That seems like a fun card. It's very Dark Eldar with this. Oh, you can't attack again during this battle phase. You're not going to be readying from battle rounds, just to get more encouragement for players to actually play more elite units. Here we go, on to Eldar now, and our first card is a 5 cost elite unit, Warwalker Squadron. It is coming down with 1 hammer, and it's a 4/3 unit, no war gear attachments. Reaction: after the unit is chosen as a defender, exhaust a hardpoint attachment on it to cancel that attack. I mean, that's pretty good. There is already a very heavy vehicle / elite unit theme that Eldar has, and particularly with that hard point that gives units armor bane, I think this can be amazing, because you basically your opponent will have to choose a different defender. And that's pretty cool, especially if after this unit has been chosen as a defender. So when your opponent's attacking this guy, you're like, no, not with that guy. So they have to attack with another one. Interesting. It cancels that attack. So that means that the attacker will still get exhausted, but the attack doesn't get through. It's very strong, actually, especially for a 5 cost elite unit. We get another elite unit here for Eldar, and this time we get the Phoenix Attack Fighter. A 2/6 for 6 doesn't seem much with the 1 hammer. No war gear attachments. It does have flying. I'd rather it had mobile though. Oh, never mind. A reaction: after units are committed to this planet, deal 3 damage to an exhausted enemy unit at this planet. Okay, that's really cool. When your opponent's warlord comes up with their attire, there's a good chance that there will be a unit or a number of units that will get exhausted by that, and then you just prey on them. Just shoot them for 3. That's pretty cool. Just such an Eldar card. I love it. Absolutely love it. And we got 3 more Eldar cards. This time a 1 cost support. Again, the art looks amazing. Webway Passage, an upgrade. Deploy action: exhaust this support to switch the location of 2 target army units you control. Wow, that's fantastic. Just that movement that you get from Eldar is fantastic. That is really cool, actually. The Webway allows the Eldar to move across the galaxy without ever touching real space or the warp. Yep. That's a good card. That's a good card. That's really good. just being able to move them around even more. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Makes deck building quite a challenge. You can't have all these good cards in your decks. Alright, get some more drones for Tau. And this time we get the Sniper Drone Team, a 4-cost army unit, 2 hammers, 2/5, and it's ranged. Okay, a drone that's ranged, very cool. And with a reaction again, there you go. After the range skirmish, yeah, this planet ends. Ready this unit. So it's wow, it's really good. So you get him for 2 damage, ranged, without any attachments. You might get him for 5 with Ion Rifle, and then you can swing again with this guy after the ranged attack. Wow, that's jeez, just so these cards are so good. They're so good. All right, interestingly, our first Deepstrike card in this set. Tactical Withdrawal for the Tau. It has 2 shields, which is good, and a Deepstrike of 0, so you play it for 1 realistically. Reaction: after you Deepstrike this event, move any number of units you control at this planet to an adjacent planet. Oh wow. That is, that's pretty good. Again, just movement. It's an adjacent planet, not really a big deal, honestly. But just to be able to move any number of units you control at this planet to an adjacent planet, that's fantastic. I mean, to me, that is a tactical withdrawal, yeah. But not only that, it can actually be pushing units into another battle if you're like deploying to the second planet, and you obviously put this in reserve there. You Deepstrike it, having seen where your opponent put their stuff. This can just, you know, move all your units where you want them to be. Very strategic card. I love that. Okay, let's look at the Tyranids. We got a 2-cost Focal Warrior, 1 hammer. It's a 1/3 unit, a creature and a Kraken. Each elite unit you control at this planet against brutal. Wow. Okay. So, you know, I'm immediately thinking, right out the bat, I'm thinking, where is it? I'm thinking Burrowing Trigon. I mean, if that guy gets brutal, God forbid. I mean, that's just a 1-hit KO to any warlord. And if they're bloodied, yeah, good game. But also just lower cost stuff. There's a bunch of, like, I'm just looking here, looking at the Imgarl Gene Stealer. That could do with brutal. The Ravenous Haruspex. Oh, absolutely. I would love a bit of brutal. This guy, the Biovore Spore Launcher, usually you'll be using this for the area effect 1, but you can also get some really big damage in with this guy. So yeah, definitely one card that makes the Tyranids absolutely disgustingly ferocious. And we get another Deepstrike unit there, Deepstrike 1. You can also just play for 1, and in this case that's the cheaper way. However, what does it say? Attached to an enemy army unit with printed cost 2 or lower, so just more hate on the 2 or lower costs. And the attached unit cannot be readied, so that's pretty cool. That's why you want to Deepstrike it, and to make it like a surprise that, you know, they swing with any one of their like little guys to a lower cost. You play this, and they will never ready again. So that's pretty sweet. Particularly for, but this is basically almost like a weenies removal for the Tyranids. And our final 3 cards, this time only the 1 extra card to go into your Necron deck if you want to. It is, however, a 5-cost drone and an elite. So that is just good from so many different angles again. 1 hammer, 2/7, and it has a reaction. After this unit assigns damage by an attack, remove 1 damage from it. Able to sense living targets from hundreds of meters away, the Tombstalker violently defends its lord's realm with piercing talons and blasts of ghost fire. Doesn't do much, but what it does it really well. It's a cheap elite unit with a really big butt, and every time you deal damage with it, you heal it a little bit, and that's good. Necron does that really well. It generally has a bunch of cards that allow you to keep those units in play, and particularly with, as we already are very much seeing, Wave 3 really trying to get elite units more into the field. That is a really good card in that sense. I wouldn't say it's like super strong, but it's a decent elite unit for the Necrons for sure. And again, searchable with the Earthcast Technician. So that's pretty cool too. Alright guys, this is it for part 2 of our 6-part series looking at Wave 3 of Warhammer Conquest, Warhammer 40k Conquest living card game. Up until next time guys, Bussy and signing out. Peace.